Hack zone, hack zone. Hack zone, hack zone.
So we will switch to English now. I will give the floor to Sake, and thank you very much for joining me as your guest.
Yeah, that's funny because you say you're the guest, but I feel like I'm the guest. So we're we're both guests to each other, I guess. Yeah, I'm Sake. I was involved with the Hacker Hotel badge this year, and that was a lot of fun. And then I proposed to Tom, like, okay, I can write a little game for the CampZone badge as well. So he sent me a little prototype on which I was able to program a game, but due to time constraints, it hasn't been finished yet. So, but let's focus on building your own app. I prepared a demo. Of course, it's a Blink app because that's what you do when you first write an app for a microcontroller or a badge. So we'll start with a simple Blink, and we're going to extend on that, and in the end, it will turn out to be, I think, maybe even a useful full app. So let's see what we can do. First of all, I want to ask people in the chat to write in a one-liner what they like about this badge, because Tom did, and also Joris put so much effort in it, and it's a brilliant badge. So give a shout out to them by saying what you like about the badge or how you're going to use it, and make Tom blush or whatever. Okay. So I won't look at the chat. Tom will ask me questions. If you have a question, he'll interrupt me or wait till the proper moment to interrupt me. So I will just continue explaining things to you. So first of all, where will you get information when you want to start writing an app for this awesome badge? Well, if you go to your browser, and there's the website wiki.hack z.1/CZ20. It's also, I think, on your flyer in your badge that you received. There's a lot of information on how to use the badge, but there's also a link, documentation for writing your apps yourself. If you click on that link, you will get to the documentation page of the CampZone badge, and here you see a couple of APIs that you can use, and we're going to walk through most of them during this presentation, so you can get a grasp on how to use these APIs in your own app.
Yes, and if you ever lose the link to the wiki, on the back of your badge, there's also a link directly printed on silkscreen.
Yeah, somewhere. There it is. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know that, so now I know. So yeah, you can always find it on your badge itself, and that will bring you to this page. And in this page, you will find information that you need. Some of the functions are not described in this web page. Another page you can visit is the GitHub page for the badge team firmware. And Tom, if you can post this link in the chat, I think I posted it to you on Discord.
Yeah,
if you
sure.
can post this in the chat for people to use, that will be fine. Will be nice. Some of the functions, like the virtual timers that we're going to use, they're not described on the other page, but you can find it here. So if you need information, it's there. Then, of course, well, not of course, but I created a GitHub page for all the scripts that I'm going to show you. So we're going to run from a simple Blink, add some specifics, and in the end, it will be like a full-blown app. So that's what we're going to do today. If you want to follow me, just go to my GitHub page and download or clone the repository, and then you can also join me while we're doing this. And the last link that I want to share to you is the hatchery. Oh, wait a second, it was not on the first page. The hatchery is where all the apps that are built are being uploaded, at least if people want to upload it and share them with people. So if you choose your batch model, set it to CampZone 2020, and maybe search for, I don't know, Blink. I don't think I uploaded it yet, or I deleted it already. But if you look for instance, the soundboard, there you can find that there's an app called Soundboard, which does a lot of nice things like this. So in the end, we'll upload our app to the App Store as well. So that's part of the for this session. So let's just start by looking around on the app itself. I'm sure everybody has seen how to connect your badge to your browser. Well, let's do it one more time. If I disconnect my badge, so I unplug the USB. If I plug the USB in again, it will tell me that I can get started by clicking anywhere in this browser window. I need to pair with my badge, connect, and that gives me a wonderful web interface to the badge. So first screen is your apps, where you can add apps to the buttons, as discussed yesterday. So I'm not going to go into that anymore. You can install new apps, also discussed yesterday, so you can watch that video again. And we're going to concentrate on the programming and files part of this screen. On it, you will see like a file browser for your internal flash and also for the SD card. If you have an SD card added to your badge, I can recommend that if you want to play with a soundboard or any other apps that store a lot of data. So get a good micro SD card and put it in your badge, also discussed yesterday. Then the most important part for our discussion is the apps directory on the flash. As you can see, there's all the apps that are installed each have an own directory. So if I look at the soundboard, in it you will see that there's a description. If you click on it, it will load up on the right, and there's, oh, I think there's something wrong with the description here, but it will load up on the right, and you can start editing here if you want to change an app. I wouldn't do that too much because that you will kill the app. So you need to uninstall it and reinstall it. But of course, you can mess around with existing apps just on your in your browser. You can look at the code, change it, and this is very, for me. I'm a programmer, but I don't consider myself. Well, I consider myself a little programmer, but I'm more of a copy and paster than a programmer. So I like to look at other codes from other people, see how they do the things, and then just copy it and change it to my own liking.
Yeah,
so
hopefully copy pasting was made very easy this year. At least that's what I hope.
Yeah, this is what I really like. I mean, there's no special things needed. Just plug your badge in, connect to it, and you in your browser you can do anything. I like CLIs. You will see me use my terminal window quite a lot this session. But the fact that you can just hoover around the badge, look at things in the badge, and experiment, it's really brilliant. Great work on that. There's a metadata.json which is used by the badge to look at the names of the badge, the revision number, to see whether there's an update or not, to show you how it's being used, etc. So that's needed for the app management of the badge. And there is also let's see the app names, of course, but I wanted to show you the config directory. In the config directory, we're going to use that later. You see there's an app minus blink.json. That's something that my app already created. So that's information that you can use for settings and stuff, but we'll come to that later. So this is more or less how the badge flash is laid out. For me, the most important part of this window is the Python terminal. And that's because I like to do my programming of the badge in the Python terminal. And when you type the command system.shell, if I open if I show you the badge, I press the button on vertically, but hopefully it's still in my screen buffer. So if I do system shell, you see that the colors are gone, and you see that there's a new prompt on the screen where you're in a clean environment where you can start coding for your badge. So you can start straight away. For instance, if you say import display, you import the display API, and then you can say display. I'm not really. What was the kind of full? I haven't programmed that much. draw fill. It was draw fill and then the color no x. So no, 0x. So let's make it white. And then I need to flush that because this is being saved in the frame buffer. So I need to flush this to the back.
Yeah, so this display API allows you to change all the pixels, to draw shapes and things like this, but it won't actually write to the screen yet. When you do display.flush, it writes any change you've done immediately in one go. So you should do this flush not too often.
No, you just build up your screen, and then when it's done, then you do the flush. So you can start developing interactively in this Python terminal. But what I like to do is I'm gonna again do a system shell to create like a totally clean environment. And what you can do is Control E, and then you can paste your script into the shell. So if I take this first script and I paste it to my or copy it to my paste buffer or my copy buffer, that's a nice command on the Mac that you can just cut something to your buffer. Now I can paste it here, and when I press Control D, it will start executing the script. And as you can see, the batch is flashing. So now we have our first Blink program saved to the batch, and that's working. Of course, this is just a simple Blink, and now we're going to expand on that and make it into a nice app that might be useful in some cases. One of the downsides, if you do it like this, I can't Control C, I can't kill this because it's a script that is running all the time. There's other ways to do that, which I will show you in a minute. So to get out of this, I need to press the launcher again by pressing the home button on the batch. And that will bring me back into the launcher. And of course, I can now do again system.shell to create a new environment. And let's first discuss what we did in this first script. Well, I made a loop. I filled the frame buffer with all whites for the whole batch. Then I pushed it to the LEDs. I did a time sleep to create a 1 second pause, and then I use black and do the same. And because it's a while true, you will do this forever, and it will be a blinking badge. So let's see what the second script will look like.
So before we move on, for the viewers not familiar with Python, it's very important that you import on the first line the modules that you want to use. So if you get some weird error saying that display is not defined or something like this, don't forget the import for it.
That's a good addition. Yeah, this talk is more or less focused or geared towards people that are a little bit familiar with Python and they want to know how to interact with the batch APIs. But it's good for all the people that don't have that much experience with Python to add these little things for that. Okay, so in my second version of this Blink app, I want to use a different pattern. Instead of all the LEDs, I want to be able to create a pattern of LEDs that I want to do. And also I want to create different colors. So in this case, I'm not doing a full white because that's just too bad on my eyes. So I do a little half gray, half lit LEDs, and again black. But now I do a pattern of pattern. The 0, 1, 2, and there's also a 3, which is not in this case, but you can also use a 3, are used this way. For a 0, it means that the LED will always be off. A 1 will be a LED will always be on. The 2 will be a blinking LED, and the 3 will be a blinking LED, but then on the reverse. So whenever there's a 2 and it's on, then the 3 is off, and when there's a 2 that's off, then the 3 is on. So you can create patterns with this by filling up this list. So what I do now is, again, a while true. I now browse over the whole batch, so 4x4 display. I start with the off color. Then if the color in the pattern is 1, I choose color on, which is this one. If it's 2, I look at the counter to see whether I should turn it off or on. And when it's 3, I look at the counter and to see whether I should turn it on or off. So those are different from each other. Then when I've chosen the color, I use the display.draw pixel to specifically target one LED for a specific color. Of course, when I filled the whole buffer after the for loops, I can flush it to the LEDs. I increase my counter, so the next time the counter will be even or odd. That's why I use counter modulus 2, which decides if the counter is even or odd. And that way I create the blinking pattern. And again, I'm going to sleep for 1 second, and then it will go all over again. So let's paste this to my buffer.
And if you have any questions about this, if you're viewing this, be sure to post your question on Twitch, and I will ask them to Saka in between the demos.
Yes, that was very nice. So again, paste mode, I'm pasting my new script. Sometimes the script doesn't show all the way, but it does paste it in full, I've noticed, but sometimes it doesn't show on the display. Again, Control D to stop it. And as you can see now, there's it's not as bright as before, and there's now a pattern where only the heart of the circle is flashing. So this way you can change the pattern. Of course, you can change it in the code, but wouldn't it be nice if you can change this in you can change it in the code, but it would be nice to be able to change it with the buttons, because we have buttons on this app. So let's see how we can add buttons to this blinking app. So in this case, the first part looks the same. Then I see that I have a definition of how to use the keypad. So I imported the keypad library on top. Then I created a function that will be called when there's a key being pressed, and I add a handler to the keypad API that this function, the onKey function, should be called whenever a button is pressed or released. Now, what happens is, as soon as I press a button, the function will be called, and the key index is the index to the key. It starts with 0 on the top left corner, and it ends with 15 on the lower right corner. And the is pressed will be true if the button is pressed, and it will be false if the button has been released. So I can use that to change the pattern on the fly. So as the pattern is not in this function, I need to make it a global. So I can change it from within this function. And then whenever a button is pressed, I read out the key index, I transform it to an X and Y coordinate, and then I will look at I increase the counter. I will increase the counter of the value of the specific place in the pattern buffer. So in this case, if I press the upper left button, which was a 0 to start with, it will become a 1, then a 2, then a 3, and then after it will become a 1 again. 0 again, and depending on the button that I pressed, I want to have some feedback on the value that it has. So I created 4 colors: a little light red for if it's off, a little green for if it's on, a little this is magenta, cyan, to show that it is flashing, and a little orange to show that it's flashing in the opposite direction. Then, as a debugging, I can print to I can use the print button, and the print button will print out to the console, which is the Python terminal. So you have some feedback on what you pressed, and that's a nice way to debug your app. Whenever you want to debug your app, just put in print statements at certain points, and you can debug from your Python terminal. Again, of course, I need to flush the frame buffer to the LEDs, otherwise it won't be shown. And that happens whenever a button is pressed. Then I have got my while loop, just like in the other app or in the previous app. You see that there's the same code to do the blinking. So let's copy this to the batch. System.shell Control E. No, I think I pressed Control E one time too much. Let's see if that works or if it complains. Yeah, it complains. I need to do that again. You need to press Control E once, otherwise there's a Control E in your input stream, which it won't like. So now it took it. So now we have a batch with the same flashing, but if I press this button, now you see that it's flashing in the opposite direction. If I press it again, it will be off, if correct. Doesn't show me. Let's see. There's something going wrong because I also don't see my colors. I think the app has crashed on me. No, it didn't. If you can also see in the debug function that you can see which button was pressed and how it changes the values of the pattern. As you can see, I'm pressing the upper left button, and you can see that it rotates from 0, 1, 2, 3, and that should go back to 0. But something is wrong; it doesn't work properly. Always nice if you do live stuff.
Yesterday we had this as well. It's called the demo effect. Every time you want to show something, it doesn't go as you want it to.
So let's do the soundboard, and I can make a proper sound for that. So
nice.
Back to because I'm not going to troubleshoot this example. We have lots of examples. I want to teach you how to use the API and not troubleshoot my problems. So let's move on to the next example. I'm sure it will work later on.
So in between, Mikas asked the question: is there a color library for this new badge, like the one that we had for last year's badge, the iPane? So the iPane used an RGB library that had some extra functions in it. And since then, we switched to the display module because since our last batch, since the CampZone 19, this display module was made generically available for all the previous badges that were made in past events. So now future badges that we make, it would also be very nice if they can use the same module. So that's why we don't use the same RGB module as before, and also why some of the functions that were in there are not in this display one. But of course, if there's a function that you like and you want in the display one, pull requests are very welcome always.
Yeah, that's always my answer when people ask for wireshark features. Well, send in a request or do it yourself.
And Joris asked a very interesting question. Doesn't time.sleep block the main loop?
Sake. Yes, it does. And that will be, I see in the, well, actually in this example. So thank you for the bridge to this example, because what you didn't, well, what you already saw is that the buttons that I pressed, I was complaining that didn't work properly. And now I remember that's also because the time.sleep is blocking other functions. So reading from the keys is very difficult that way. And that's why all things on this batch should be done event and timer based. And in this example, I'm going to show you how to use a virtual timer to make that happen.
Yeah, so what happens is time.sleep makes the Python thread sleep on your badge. And so any callback from event handlers and things like this that are due to be called will only be called after the sleep completes. So you will have to keep the button pressed for a second for it to register now. And obviously this doesn't feel nice to use.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, that was the whole purpose of this exercise. So I kind of skipped over that, but the buttons didn't work very well, and that's because of this issue. So now we're going to solve that by using virtual timers. So again, import another module, virtual timers, and on the last part of the script, you see virtual timers begin 50. That means open up or create the virtual timers or initiate the virtual timers and use a 50 millisecond interval. So by doing this, every 50 milliseconds, all the virtual timers that will be added will be checked whether they need to fire. So you have a resolution of 50 milliseconds, which is quite enough for the app that I'm building. Then the second line here is virtual timers new 0, draw, false, means I'm creating a new, or I'm adding a new virtual timer to the list of virtual timers. The 0 means it will be fired straight away. It won't. If you want this to be fired like in 5 seconds, then you can add like virtual timers new 5000 and then a function. But since I want to start straight away, I fill in 0 here. And then draw is the function that will be called whenever the timer fires. And so since it will be directly fired as soon as the virtual timers module is being triggered, it will see that I have added draw to the list that needs to be fired. Since it has a weight of 0, it will be fired, and my draw function will be called. And if you look closely, this looks pretty much the same as the while loop in the previous example. There's one difference. The counter is declared as global because we're in a function and we need to change it, so we need to make it a global. And there's a return, and it returns the blink interval. And what does that mean? Whenever a virtual timer is called, the return value will be the next time that it's called. So if I return this with 1000, after 1000 milliseconds, it will be called again. So it updates the call frequency in your list of virtual counters. Now, the blink interval has been defined above 1000 milliseconds. So it's again a blinking of 1 second. And if all goes well, I also moved the keypad add handler to this to below, because that's where it is. You can see that I'm adding all the callbacks at the same place, which is nice. Whenever you do this, if you look at the code, there is some initialization. There's 2 functions. There's adding the callbacks, and then the code will stop, or it will not stop. Your command line will be returned to you, and all the callbacks will handle all the action for you. So let's see how that goes when I copy that to my buffer.
And there's one more advantage to doing this. So besides your keypad now being a lot nicer to use, also when you open your app, the Python terminal on the website will still remain active. So you can add new commands in there as your app is running.
You're taking away my
I'm sorry.
I wanted to show you that. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because if you need to debug things, it's nice that you can interact with your script live as well. So let's see how that works. So my script is loaded. If I press Ctrl D, it will start. So you see that the app has started. But if I do now print pattern, you can see that I can interact with my script, and I can not only show you things, but I can also say, okay, color of should not be black, it should be red. So let's show the badge. And if all goes well, you see that the color is changing. So I can interactively change my script or change the working of my script based on what I do in the command line terminal. Somehow my display function is, well, now it's working again. It looks strange though. So again, I can press buttons. So this one is on now. If I press it again, you see that it turns yellow for a bit. Now it's joining the flash. Again, now it's always on. It's still not working as expected. Something is weird. Maybe I should should do it again. This didn't happen last night when I was creating this. They're always nice. So Ctrl E, paste my. Oh, should I Ctrl E, Ctrl V, or Command V, Ctrl D? It is so strange that it's now not flashing in a separate pattern than yesterday. Not sure what happens.
Solar flares, man.
Yeah, solar flares, Earth radiation and stuff. So now you see that it turned red. You can see that it flashes through some colors. I think I'm gonna just connect my badge for a bit and do it again because it's not working as expected. So I like the did you turn it off and on again approach.
Nice.
Again, system.shell.
In the meantime, I can play a funny meme from the soundboard.
Yes, please go ahead. Make my day.
If you haven't installed this app yet, you really should. It's made by Renze and Gilles.
Yeah,
it's just amazingly
awesome.
fun to use.
Yeah. No, it's still funny. I don't know what happens to my badge, but it's still working funny. But because we discussed it, and we need to go on to the next example. So the main
and the
thing
point is proven, right?
Yeah, the point is proven that you can use your buttons now more easily. And the way to do it is initiate the virtual timers, create a new one, and the way most apps work is create a handler for your input with the keys and create a handler for drawing your screen. And if you combine those two, one with the keyboard handler, one with the virtual timer, then your app will be as lightweight to the badge as possible, and all functions will work perfectly. So if all goes well. So let's see, I have a list. Yeah, I can change variables, can change colors, pattern, and of course this only works when you use the system shell command. If you start an app with the app mechanism, then the interactivity won't work. This only works when you copy script to the badge in the system shell.
Yeah, so you can still type commands into the terminal then, but you won't have access to the variables inside of your app.
Exactly, yes. So the next thing is using the app config API. And the app config API is a mechanism to separate your settings from your app. As you've seen in the previous example, I used a starting pattern in the app itself. I used the starting colors in the app itself. So whenever I want to change those, I need to change the app. And it would be nice to be able to change those from within the GUI and not from your web GUI, not within the app. So that's where the app config API comes in. And it currently only supports a get. It would be nice feature request to also have an app config.set where you can, whenever you change something with your buttons, it can be saved to the settings as well. But for the moment, it's only a one-way street. So you change your settings, your config with the GUI, and then you can read it from your badge app. So what I did, I created a config setting for Blink. Blink is will be the name of my badge, sorry, the name of my app. So I'm using my app name here, and then in a list, or sorry, in a dictionary, I have all the things that I want to add to the settings. So I put my start pattern in there, I put my interval in there, and I put both colors in there, which means I can change those from within the GUI, and I can read them into a settings dictionary with the app config.get command, which means I'm going to copy the settings because I need to change this as well. I can use the settings pattern, but I like to have a separate variable for that. So I'm reading the patterns, the pattern from the settings. I'm reading the interval from the settings. And then in my script, you can see that instead of color on and off, I now use settings, color off and color on to change the color. And the rest of the script is the same. The downside of this is that the settings can only be changed from the GUI if the badge recognizes it as a real app. So you need to put it in the app directory instead of just pasting it to the shell. So this is a second way to create an app on your badge: is go to the apps directory, then create a folder, and I'm going to call this Blink.
Actually, if that's true, Saka, this is a bug, because it should make a config file, and the settings screen just reads all the config files.
Yeah,
So
but,
if it doesn't work,
but I
if you
know,
paste it in the terminal, then we've made a whoopsie.
yeah, you have a whoopsie there because as you can see, I already have an app.blink.json, so it already created the settings file yesterday evening or night. I went to bed at 3 o'clock. And if you look at the settings, there's no, oh, there is now. Damn it, there goes my demo. Maybe it's not an oopsie, maybe it was an oopsie on my side. It was late last night, but okay. So there is actually, there is already the pattern. That's strange. Okay, I need to repeat that. But yesterday I thought I didn't see my my Blink app settings, and so I created the metadata JSON file, and then it did show up. But I need to reproduce that to be able to mark it as a bug. So there's now a settings page where you can change settings for your app. So I can change the interval, for instance, to 500 milliseconds. I can change the color on to, for instance, green, and the color off, I change that to red. 0x. So you can add hexadecimal values as well here. And as you can see, they will be transformed into decimal on the fly. I save my settings, and when I now upload my new app, and it should read the settings from the settings page. System.shell, Control E, Command V, and Control D. And as you can see, it's blinking faster. It uses different colors. These are now taken from the settings page.
Very nice.
So as you can see, it turns into a little, it gets more and more useful this way, right? You can imagine that you put some stuff in here that can be useful. It's not only useful as an example, the app in itself might be useful in the end as well. So that's, let's see, app config. So I don't need to install an app. But if you do, the way to add it is to, so in my Blink, if you look at all the other apps, you see that there's a metadata and an init underscore init underscore py. So if I want to put this script in here, I need to create a file called underscore init underscore dot py. And then I can, of course, in this editor, paste my whole script. Click on save somewhere on the top. There's a save button over here. And now this is an app. If I want to be able to add it to the apps here, it does need a metadata.json file. So let's see, let's just copy and paste because that's what I like. Apps, soundboard. Let's copy the content of the metadata.json file. Copy and then add a new one here. Metadata.json. And let's edit this because I don't want.
Yeah, so in the future, we would really like to have a separate button for doing this, where you just have to fill in the app name and things like this.
Yeah, which happens when you.
For now, it's manual.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in here. So the name of my app is Blink. Description, there's a lot of stuff that I don't want. Let's see, author will be me. Revision is used for updating, but let's just say it's the first revision. Category, let's do utility. And let's see if I can just remove this.
So someone in the comments is saying that the feature request for the metadata generator has been noted.
Okay,
actually,
nice.
It's if you're familiar with web development, it's quite easy to add new features to our website.
Okay.
So if you're interested, please go find the CampZone GitHub page. CZ20-badge inside is the website. We welcome all pull requests.
I used the wrong example. This is way too much text.
Yeah, so someone actually already did a very nice pull request. I mentioned this yesterday. The terminal window used to be just a normal text window with the text input below it. And someone made a pull request to turn it into a full-fledged terminal where you can Control-C and stuff like this.
Okay.
That made it a lot more useful than it was before. So we're very thankful for people doing these kinds of things.
Okay, so now I have added the metadata. Yes, it's always nice if people start collaborating and adding stuff to the stuff you already built. It's so rewarding. So if I add my app now, it should be in here because it recognized the metadata. So I can add the blink on this right corner. Let's give it like a very, I don't know. So now I have it configured on my app. So if I go to the home screen.
Excellent color choice.
Now we have the nice button to start my blinking app. And it will read the config and will start blinking if all goes well, which it didn't. So let's look at the terminal to see whether there's something wrong in the code. Let's again go back to the home screen. Press my button. A blink app is likely missing metadata to JSON file. I think somebody mentioned that in the Telegram group as well. So probably my metadata.file is not correctly formatted.
Yeah, so this happens, I think, if there's no name entry in the metadata file. Or if the metadata file is not there to begin with, but we just saw you create it.
Yeah, it is there. So yeah, I don't know why. Since we're going to be adding this through the App Store later on, we can forget about it. But this should have worked. I think maybe do again you can turn it off and on again approach. If that doesn't work, then
yeah, and also this warning that you see, it's a warning of the launcher, not of the app. So it should not prevent launching the app.
Yeah, still.
Maybe you can check if the init.py is correctly, if the content is correct.
Well, since we only have 10 minutes left, there's quite a few things that I want to show. So this is something you need to find out for yourself. If you do it correctly.
Mikas says in the chat that the description is ended wrongly. There's a quote missing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be the case. Then let's do a final check on that. And then the description. Yep, there it is. Good.
It's always very nice to have these people that pay good attention.
It is so good to have viewers that pay attention and look at details. Yeah. So let's see if this works again. If it now works. It's funny that it didn't complain here. So yeah, but it complained in the launcher. So I'm now pressing my button. It probably needs to. I don't know. Still doesn't work as I.
Yeah, I think we should move on with your next examples.
Yes, I think so too. So so what's next? We have added the timers. We have to add config. We can now add touch buttons because we not only have the silicon keypad, we also have some touch buttons on the top. And let's use those to change some settings on the fly, so you don't have to change them through the app settings.
So I'm showing currently on the overhead cam the touch buttons here.
Okay, nice. So let's do clear. Again, you need to add a library or a module. The app it's missing the touchpad. That's strange. It's missing the touchpad in my script. Still, it did work.
It's also not on the GitHub page.
Yeah, then it's touch. It still worked though. probably maybe some other module is already including it, but
Actually, yes, the boot app automatically includes this. So this could be why it works.
Okay, so then, but normally you would add it here, but if it's added already for you, then it's okay. So I just added it, and if you go to the last part, it says here touch badge on, and then you can create functions that are called whenever a certain button is being pressed or a certain. Oh, let's do it again. So whenever the right arrow is pressed, the interval up will be called. And then the left button is pressed, interval down. Cancel, stop blinking, and OK, continue blinking. And of course, these functions need to be defined. And as you can see on the top here, I've got the functions that use if the button, or sorry, the touchpad is pressed, I will halve the interval until it's 50. I won't go lower than 50. The same goes for the interval up. I won't go higher than 10 seconds. And I will debug on the command on the console. Stop blinking will say blinking is false, and I added something around the counter. If blinking, then it should increase. If not blinking, then it shouldn't increase. So that basically stops the blinking. So again, in my buffer.
Yeah, so this is a really nifty feature in macOS. You can copy things in your clipboard directly.
Oh, I really love it. it's a time saver. Control E, Control V.
So Mikas is asking, is there some way to have IntelliSense in your IDE? VS Code or JetBrains? Yeah, I think this works immediately for me.
Okay, so.
But I don't know how to set it up, to be honest.
Okay. So if I press the X, it should stop blinking, which it did, and press the check mark and it will increase, and I can make it quicker with the left button, and I can slow it down with the right tab. And as you can see, it's showing me the debugging information, how it changes the values. So that gives you the opportunity to steer your badge on the fly with the touchpads.
Yeah, this is so really nice. It's used, for example, in some of the radio apps and the mod player and stuff like this.
Yeah, it's nice that you have the button controls and some touchpad controls, because they can be used for different things. So make use of them. Okay, it's 5 to 2. I think we have a little bit over 2 because we started late as well, but let's continue to the next example. And as said, all the examples are on the GitHub, so I can't finish them all. So let's.
So actually, we can exceed our time a little bit, Saki.
Okay.
So let's see how far we can go.
Do you know till when?
No.
Okay.
So I was secretly chatting with the stream crew just now, and I know only that we're allowed to go over time a bit.
Okay. Well, I'll just continue and I'll try to explain everything I want to explain. Okay. So because we have a badge with 2 speakers, it's also nice to be able to do some sounds. So we're going to add a sound mixer to the modules that we can use, and let's see. I create one.
Sound mixer is the low-level driver that we have to do anything you ever want with audio. And there's also an easier-to-use, lighter-weight wrapper called Audio that allows you to just play files.
And that will be in the next example.
Okay, great. So I just want to make it clear to people, you can use either of the two, and Sound Mixer is more advanced.
Yeah, exactly. So at first I want to just sound some notes instead of playing audio, playing MP3. So I'm just going to use a synthesizer. So I need to initiate the synthesizer. So I say I'm going to do a sound mixer begin, and I only have one channel that I use because I only have one tone that I want to play at the same time. I create a synthesizer. I change the waveform. I think 0 is sine, or I'm not sure. It sets the waveform. There's several of them. This is my way of copy and pasting from other apps. So I'm actually not sure what it does, except that it works. and I change the volume to 0. And then whenever I press one of the buttons, let's see. Oh, I need to go up. So here's my buttons. I also say whenever a button is pressed, I have a separate tone for each level of the pattern. I set the tone. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to set the volume to not too high, just that it is you can hear it a little bit. And instead of using a time sleep again, I'm using a virtual timer to turn off the tone again. So I'm setting it for 100 milliseconds, and it will call the function sound off. And if you go above this, sound off will just lower the volume to 0 again. So the synthesizer will stay in place, but it will not sound anymore. So this example, this was 6, right? Yeah, cut 0.6 to copy. And
so someone is asking in chat where they can get one of these devices, and unfortunately, this production has already been completely sold. But we might do another production run in the future. And the best way to know when this will happen is to follow CampZone on Twitter under the name CampZone NL.
Meanwhile, I created, I uploaded the app, and I don't hear anything. So nice. Cool. Did it copy the right? Yeah, there's a sound mixer. It is funny how much is going wrong today.
This is always during live demos, so you have to get used to it.
Yeah, I know, but it's such a shame. Well, okay, it should give a tone. It doesn't at the moment. Maybe there's something wrong with the volume or anything. I'm not sure. Let's check the settings for the volume of the.
So if you're watching this and you want to try it out yourself, I will paste a link to the script in the Twitch chat. You can run it yourself, either via the terminal or by saving it to a file and then running the file.
Yeah, let's do it one more time. System.shell. Create a new environment. Clean. Paste my script. And it's not sounding anything so nice. Good. At least you know how to do it, and I hope you have better luck in making it work. I'm sure I heard beeps last night. I'm sure it was not in my dream, but I'm not sure anymore. So let's look at the next example, because of course a beep is nothing fancy. Let's see if we can use. Let's see if we can use something more fancy. That is in the next example, 07. In here, I'm adding Wi-Fi because I'm going to use a library to do text-to-speech, and I'm going to use the audio library. So there's a couple of things that we added to this version of the app. Again, on the bottom, I'm initiating my Wi-Fi. During initialization, there's audio play, which exactly that.
I'm currently running your demo in case it didn't work for you.
Okay.
Now, of course, you're hearing my audio.
Yes. So it does work. See, just not on my badge. You gave me a faulty badge. So I'm connecting to the Wi-Fi. If the Wi-Fi is not connected, I'm going to play. Okay, I'm connecting. Connect. And if it fails, it will tell you in the terminal as well as in on the speakers. And if it's connected, it will also tell you. And so that's the audio play. So you can play an MP3 file that's already on your system. Then I changed the button or the touchpad code because I want to have audio feedback there as well. And as you can see, I'm using the UG TTS library to speak up what the interval now is. So you can dynamically say, okay, the interval is now 1,000 or 500 or etc. So let's see if that does work on my side. To pd copy, no, pd copy. And if not, I have a very charming assistant that can do it for me.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't think it started for me, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay. As you can see, the script gets longer and longer, which is a good thing.
Connecting to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi connected.
So that worked.
Nice.
Interval is now 200. Interval is now 125. Blinking is now false.
The audio is not being picked up by your microphone, but I heard a
Blinking is now
blink of
true.
it. So I believe
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Interval is now 200. Interval is now 500.
So
Nice. Yeah, we heard that. Very cool.
So that is more or less. I have one more function, but that's an optimization, so you can look at it for yourself. I've got one more feature in the because I already also attached some function to the home button.
Well, kids, that concludes our demo for today.
That was really cool.
So that concludes our demo for today. As being said, the files are available on my GitHub, so you can download all the scripts, paste them. What we didn't show yet is to put it in a head tree. So we just added to the head tree as a last example of how
please.
you upload your badge. So you need to register an account on Badge Team. So you go to Badge Team. You go to Badge Team. You click on register. Of course, I'm already logged in. No, I'm not already logged in, so I need to log in here. Okay, it logs me out. So I'm logged in now. I can look at my profile. I have one app for the CampZone 19 badge already in here, but now I'm going to add one for this badge. So go to where's the add button? Oh. On the X. Okay, there's the add button. If you click on the X, I can add a put it in a category utility. It's for the CampZone 2020 badge. It's called Blink, or let's do it with the capital B. Description, well, a tutorial. I'm going to change that later. This I find strange because it thinks it's not going to be saved, but it will be saved. So
yeah, so if someone wants to fix this, they can send a pull request to Anne Jan of Badge Team.
Yep. Again, pull request, pull request, pull request. So now you can see that I have an init function, so I need to paste my content here, my script. It's already still in my buffer, so I can easily paste it. Let's see, and then save it. In the file name system, what the hell? It needs to. It's running a lint, so I need to add the. I think it needs to add the system here.
Yeah, and also the touchpads. It doesn't matter, the file is still saved, but it tells you that it wasn't imported.
Oh, wait, I can't change it here. It's still saved?
Yeah, it's still saved.
Okay. But I can't go back to.
Yeah, so in the top, you can now click in the top menu on Blink, and it will go back to your project.
Ah, okay. See, I'm not really used to the head tree. But thankfully, Tom is here as my guest, or I'm his guest, I don't know, whatever. I want to publish it, of course.
Yeah, so now the question is, do you publish it as working or in progress? We're not sure.
I don't know. How do I do? How do I do that? I'm not sure.
So by default, it's unknown, the status, and you can set it manually to working and then save it again. Then it will show up by default when you click in the project. at the CampZone tick,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
top
okay.
right,
Yeah.
there it has a drop down selection.
Yeah.
can mark
It
it as
doesn't show.
working.
It doesn't show very properly on my
Pull requests
window.
can go to Anne Janov badge team.
So again, publish, save,
Yeah.
and now
And
it
so
should
now it should be visible in the web interface for everyone with the CampZone badge. They can
Yeah.
install
So
it
let's
immediately.
go to the utilities, working, and if all goes well, it doesn't. Let's see. Maybe I should go back and forth. Utility working. There should be a blink right now, right?
Yeah, and there is. I see it. All the way at the
Where
top,
do
it's
we-
already installed, of course, because you have the local version.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So that's why I didn't see it. I was expecting it. So I'm gonna uninstall it first to make sure that I install it from the app, from the hatchery itself, because then it will create a proper metadata file as well.
Right.
So, and now let's just move it over here. And now we have the app on my badge.
Really cool.
Connecting to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi connected.
Yeah, we see it running.
It's just not blinking though. So something went wrong.
So you might want to change the status then.
Yeah.
Back to in progress.
Yes, exactly. So
anyway, thanks for showing us.
We're running out of time. So are there any left questions that you're dying to get answered?
If you have any questions, post them in the Twitch chat and we'll get to it. If you like these kinds of streams, this was the third one that we had from CampZone. We also have tomorrow one by Quinten, where he will show you how to make music on your computer using the CampZone badge as a controller. And on Thursday, Sebastius will do a soldering workshop where hopefully he will improve the audio path by reducing the noise of the speakers. And on Sunday, you can ask me anything you want during a general Q&A. And we'll answer questions and maybe hack on the badge a bit on the live stream. So, haha hee ho 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 asks, are you guys hackers and can you break into computers? No, we're not. At least I'm not.
Well, I can use a screwdriver to break into a computer, but I'm not sure that's your question.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining in. If you have any questions, let us know in Twitch. We'll get to them still.
All right.
In the meantime,
or on Twitter, whatever. You can find us anywhere. Yeah.